keep it rolling at 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, everybody. This is Osiris, writer for the Cover City News, Unk Entertainment Stones and the Color of Our blog, and your weekly host for 15 Minutes the Show. Today, I have the great pleasure of meeting musician, composer, producer, arranger. Let's talk Rob the Mob, Squirrels to Nuts, Bronx Tale. This is a bad boy. His name is Stephen Endelman. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you very much, Osiris. What an introduction, right?
Yeah. You're a bad boy. I've been watching your, I read all about your background. I know you started out as a musician, and then you got into composing. You worked for a long time with all the Miramax films, which I did not know about. And you seem to have been on a steady run with some of the directors like Irwin Winkler, I want to say Ramon, but I know it's Raymond de Felita. And you're back with Raymond again, doing a Rob the Mob, which is a very interesting tale for you. Those of you who don't know, Rob the Mob is a true story based on true facts about Rosemary Uva and her boyfriend, Tommy. And they started, during the 1990s Gotti trial, they started robbing the mafia. And so Stephen, who is British born, by the way, that's why he has that really sexy, deep voice. He was living in New York at the time, and that's how he came up with doing the score. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I'd worked with Raymond before on another movie, Two Family House, and it had been wonderful, a great experience. And then he came back to me for Rob the Mob, and he sent me the script, and I said, Raymond, this is fabulous. I arrived in New York in 1992. I was always fascinated by mafioso and wise guys, and so it just kind of was a natural fit. Raymond had an idea that he wanted to have the editor and himself work in my rooms here. I would be in my writing room, they'd be in the little office next door, and together we'd collaborate, and I would write, he'd edit, he'd throw stuff back to me, I would throw stuff back to him, and that became Rob the Mob, the score for Rob the Mob. And I'm really proud of it, and I love this movie. I love this genre, and it's not the first time I've been in that world. In fact, my very first movie was an Italian-American movie based in New York called Household Saints, and then I went on and did Bronx Tale, and I've done a lot of New York movies, basically.
But it's what I like about your work is that you seem to get deep. You don't just do like a shallow, I would say, cover of something. Whereas if a film is bad, just to say the movie's bad, but if the scoring's rocking, you know, if the music is rocking, I dance, and I know a lot of people that boogie to the music ignore the score. Do you think, as a composer and musician, your background, that when you score, do you have the emotional connection to merge music and the images together on a score?
It's an interesting question. I like to think that I've been very lucky, and I've been able to get projects that allow me to express my emotions. Like, I think that all my scores, doesn't matter what they are, have a kind of wistful, I don't want to say melancholy, because the music's not melancholy, but I do find that I feel like in our movie, Rob the Mob, the characters are flawed. Everybody in life is flawed. No one is without imperfections. And I think the music, it's not that the music is not perfect, because of course it's written properly, but I mean that the music has a quality that reflects the characters. It reflects their inadequacies or their weaknesses and their strengths. And the music can be strong when a character's being strong, and it can be less strong when the character is going through a different kind of crisis. And I think, for me, that's what this is about. Writing music for these kinds of films is about.
Well, that leads me to another question. I know that a lot of organizations, such as the Grammy Foundation, they had a whole program about music and autism. And recently, there are a lot of studies that support that the sound of music and that sound in general can affect the neurological and psychological base of a person. I want to know, when you do your music and you're doing your thing, are you considering that that music can affect somebody in an audience that's had a bad day? Or they just broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend? Or their parents just died, or all the other things that we go through? Is that
Is this a random question, or has somebody set you up for this
No,
question?
it's
Is
my
this
homework.
really a random question? No, it's not. This woman knows her
This is an
shit.
intentive, yeah. I mean, I
Okay,
wanna
so,
know.
okay, here's how it goes, right?
Let me know.
I absolutely think that music, more than any one of the other art forms, has the ability to alter the makeup of your brain. Now, it is known as a fact now, and as the science increases, music produces images in the brain. It also produces chemicals in the brain, and those chemicals can actually help heal. Now, if we lived in the Greek times, they believed that music and food would help illness. We lost a lot of that because we live in Western and science, and there's no proof, blah, blah, blah. But I happen to believe, I know more than believe. If there's a bigger word than believe, I believe it. That music can really alter and help people in a time of crisis. Whether, as you say, music therapy, which is big in autism, of course, or I happen to believe that music in the hospital, if you're in the oncology ward of a hospital and you're seriously sick and somebody comes in and starts playing a particular piece of music, that you will get neurological responses
Absolutely.
to. Now, elsewhere, there's been a lot of science in this. There's people in Germany and Vienna, for example, Austria and Germany. There are people going into hospitals today and performing. Not just with the kids, not just playing a guitar. They're playing like, they're doing Mozart, Beethoven.
Absolutely.
They're really thinking about the effects
It
of
helps.
music on the brain. So you are talking to somebody who so firmly believes that. Now, I think, of course, if it's genuine, then when you go to a movie and the music feels like it's right, that, you know, you're getting some kind of chemical reactions going through your body.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've got this show coming out in a few weeks' time, 4 weeks now, 5 weeks, June the 10th,
Yes.
on ABC, Family.
That's Chasing Life. is that
Chasing
right?
Life.
Yes.
And the reason I'm so excited by this show, and I don't think I've ever been as excited about a show on television as this show, is because they've not shied away from the central element within the show, which is a beautiful 23-year-old woman who has got a new job as a journalist for the Boston Globe, who on her first assignment gives blood at the hospital and discovers through her uncle, who's the head of pediatric oncology at Boston General Hospital, that she has AML, which is actually a very aggressive form of leukemia.
Wow.
And I was out with Joni Lefkowitz, one of the two amazing writers who created this show, last night. And I said, are you not nervous about how detailed you've gone into in the cancer? And she said, no. They did the research. ABC Family did the research, and what they discovered was that kids between 18 and 24, who are the bulk of their audience, they want to know more. They want to feel associated to that. Because you know what? In this country, in America today, there are 20 million people who are going through some kind of cancer situation right now. That's going to become 1 in 4 by 2020.
Yeah.
This is a disease. We need to talk about it. And the other thing that music can do is it can bring people together. So I'm very excited about that show, but it's a funny question you asked me.
Well, I am a firm believer of isochronics, and I understand binaural beats, so I'm one of those people that have done that research. Let's get back to Rob the Mob and some of your scoring. I know with Rob the Mob, I was particularly interested in Albert. Your rep did a great job at giving us some information. You used eclectic percussion. I even read that you went into actual prison cells and actually sat in there and used something like the metal on the door to make these different sounds. I mean, how was that as an experience going? I would have been frightened to death had I going into a prison.
No, because A, the inpatients weren't there. They're the inpatients, I'm sorry.
Oh.
The inpatients were there. I went into Wilton Prison.
The criminals weren't there.
They weren't there. But I've worked in prisons before.
Oh, wow.
In England.
In what way? I mean,
I did music in prisons.
Oh, wow.
You know,
That is,
England,
like,
we did a lot of
amazing.
stuff in the hospitals, in prisons, with disabled people, a lot of cerebral palsy, all kinds of disabilities, autism. We did it when I was, after postgraduate, when I was in England for 4 years before moving to New York, I did a lot with music and theatre and opera, actually, inside institutions like that. So for me, that wasn't a problem. What I wanted to do is give the realism that, you know, it's easy to hit a drum, but if Tommy's coming out of prison, where he's been for his second time at the beginning of the movie, and there's these kind of sort of action sequence, let's call them kind of action sequence, what can I do that'll be different? And so I went into a prison with a mallet and a machine, and I recorded, what can you hit in a prison? You can either hit a toilet seat, a bed, a bar, the keys, the little cubicle they have to put their possessions, and I just hit them all, and then I came back here and sampled them into my keyboard, and I started playing with them.
Wow.
And that became those instruments.
The foundation.
Yeah,
of this
and it was a really interesting way to go. I just want to, can I say one thing to you? And I don't know if you can cut this out if you don't like it.
Okay,
right?
fine.
Are you going to edit this, right? A little bit
Yes.
or not? Or is it live? That's it. No, you're
My
going to
stuff is live, but we'll edit it if it's something. You can say whatever you like. It's your interview.
No, because it's the first time I'm going to say this on camera, you
Okay,
see.
go ahead.
You asked a question about the music and neurology and so on and
Yes.
so forth.
Yeah.
So exactly 4 years ago, last Saturday,
Yes.
the 3rd of May, I celebrated what's called my 4th rebirthday.
And that is because.
Because I had a very, very rare form of brain cancer,
Oh.
and I was in a coma for 3 months. When I woke up out of my coma, atrophied, not able to move, I didn't even know what I'd had because I'd been wrongly diagnosed.
Honey.
So I woke up, no, it's okay, it's all good. It's all good, I
No,
promise you.
I'm just sensitive. That's all.
So I get out of my coma, and I had a playlist on my iPod. The same cycle of music that I listened to 24/7. I was like psychotic if I didn't have this music plugged into my ears. And it was a series of classical symphonies from either the 19th right the way through to pretty contemporary, you know, from the late 20th century. And I absolutely believe that the stimulation that I